quickly becoming one of my all-time favorite authors. A lot of what motivates him is, oh cool, I could buy more alcohol. Are you ready to end this vlog on a dud? Fine, he can have one dud. He can have one. Hello, so I've actually already started this vlog. I recorded 2 clips starting and finishing a book, and then those clips were deleted. So we're gonna do it again, and I'm gonna summarize those 2 clips in one, which ideally I don't wanna start off a vlog having already finished the first book, but honestly it's probably better for you because we're talking about quite a few books in this vlog, so it's gonna be a little bit shorter this way, maybe. I know your attention span isn't long enough for all of that. So this vlog, we're gonna be talking about Born, then The Companion, The Strange Bird, The Other Companion, Dead Astronauts. This is all Vandermeer, but don't worry, then we'll deviate to Roadside Picnic, I think will be next. And finally, Remote Control. So it's a sci-fi vlog. I've already finished Born, and it was magnificent, so I will talk to you about it now. By the way, I love this cover. It's gorgeous. This cover, extremely interesting. This one, look at the other cover. Look at the hardback. I either had to choose between having matching sizes / bind types or pretty cover. I'm really mad about that. Allow me to set the stage. Post-apocalyptic world, ruined city. We don't know why, but we do know that it's terrible. This is from page 1, so super duper not spoilery. And for a moment, there was no ruined city around me. No search for food and water, no roving gangs and escaped altered creatures of unknown origin or intent, no mutilated, burned bodies dangling from broken street lamps. So that's the setting that Rachel is navigating, our main character, when she encounters for the very first time Born. What is Born, you ask? Who is Born? How is Born? He's doing fine, thanks. Born is I hate that I said that. Born is a creature that Rachel found because you see, this city that is ransacked, this city that is apocalyptic, that is terrible, that is in a horrible condition, there's this giant, levitating, flying bear named Mord that flies over the city, and occasionally biotech and resources fall from the tufts of his fur, and people collect it to try to survive. One day, Mord was sleeping, and Rachel salvaged a creature out of his fur. To me, Born was just salvage at first. I didn't know what Born would mean to us. I couldn't know that he would change everything. Still on page 1. No spoilers. This is a great book. Anyway. This book is unbeatably strange around every corner. Born is this creature that at first she thinks is maybe a plant or maybe some sort of animal, a strange looking object that at first she isn't even sure if it's sentient or not, but then he starts moving, then he starts changing form, and then he starts speaking. This book, from its introduction and the way it sets everything up to the interactions that follow, is so strange. There are oddities around every corner. There's Mord proxies, normal-sized bears that go around destroying everything that's not Mord. There's bioengineered animals, there's feral children, and there's a company that seems to be responsible, at least somewhat, for the desperate state that they're in, or maybe not fully responsible, maybe just tried to help when things started going south. There's so much strangeness around every corner, but because of the way it's told, because of the earnestness in which everything is said, it reads with such confidence that even though you're reading very strange things when you say it out loud, when you're reading it, or at least for me, when I was reading it, it felt like, of course it's this way. This is the only way this world could have been. Everything is told with such gravity that I feel compelled to go along with everything, and it almost feels less like absurd and more as if this is the only way the story could have been told. I love the way Born is described, this creature that we don't know about initially, but very quickly get to know better and better in the way he learns language, in the way he can kind of morph and change into a salamander, or into, like, if he's nervous and he can fling himself onto the ceiling and flatten himself, or into, I don't want to give too much away. He can adapt very easily, and he tries to understand. Rachel as well as her boyfriend, Wick. He tries to understand humanity. He tries to understand the company. He wants to know what Rachel wants for him, who he can be for her, but he also wants to know who is he and how does that fit into what others' expectations are from him. As the story progresses, Born ends up being both somehow childlike and sweet and adorable, but also genuinely terrifying because he can change so rapidly and because he does very odd things like picking up what are thought of as the dead astronauts' skeletons and hanging them on his wall. And when Rachel says, "Please take those down, that's not decoration, I don't want those hanging there," she's like, "Just put them in the closet and find something else to hang on the wall." And he says, "I can't, the closet's full." "What do you mean? What's in the closet? What's in the closet, Born?" And it's the half information that makes Born terrifying. And very early on in the book, he kills 3 people that are attacking, bothering Rachel. So we know from the beginning that he can kill people. We know that he can morph into things. We know that he can learn things rapidly. We know that he doesn't understand humanity. And as he tries to understand, sometimes he gets it really, really wrong. And that's terrifying. Yet the way he is written, I'm going to use the word again, it's done with such earnestness that you can't help but feel drawn to him. Like you want to be closer to him. And the way that he and Rachel's relationship is written too is done with such earnestness that this tenderness of this girl who finds this creature, takes it in, and then adopts it, and it becomes like a child to her. This sounds strange, but in the book, their connection, their relationship, their bond is written with such tenderness that it's the only way it reads like it's the only way the story could have gone. Wick, too, plays a huge role. He once worked for the company, and he now has a lot of baggage connected to it. And he's very smart, and he's also does a lot to try to survive. When he first meets Born, he just wants to take him apart and use him for parts or understand how he works. And in general, he doesn't fully trust Born, and Born doesn't fully trust him, so there's a little bit of friction there, but also Wick and Rachel's relationship is something that is valuable to them both, so there's a lot going on with that as well. And at the core of the book, actually I'll read you a quote, "We all just want to be people, and none of us know what that really means." And I think that ties in so much of what this book ends up doing, and the way the reveals come, they're to do with more than just Born. They're to do with many elements of the story, and the way those reveals unfold, it's so much more layered than it initially sounds like it'll be. It sounds like I've said a lot to you about this book, but the truth is there's so much more to discover because there's so much happening here. In the realm of the world, there's so little explained, like how the city got to this state, what truly is the company, and what Wick's baggage is with it. Some of it is explained, much of it isn't. And I think that's something that Vandermeer is a master at, is giving you the exact amount of information that you need for the story that you're supposed to be told, and the rest is sort of left because that's not part of this story, and because you don't get to know everything. That's not how the world works. And that makes his stories that much more compelling to me. Vandermeer is quickly becoming one of my all-time favorite authors. I have already started The Strange Bird, and I am already obsessed with it. It's written so beautifully, and it's very short. It's only 100 pages long. I am so amazed by it. I'm reading it very, very slowly, but it's blowing me away. But I won't talk to you about it right now because this clip is long enough. So instead, I'll just say, welcome to the vlog. Hello, I shattered my glasses, so all I have to see through are prescription sunglasses, which I love for me. It's been great, but the camera doesn't appreciate sunglasses for the white balance, so I'm gonna talk to you without glasses on. So I did finish The Strange Bird. I loved this so much, so much. Vandermeer has become one of my all-time favorite authors. It's done, it's set in stone. This is my life now. I am in a Vandermeer obsession, and I'm just gonna run with it, honestly. Like, I'm just gonna roll with it. So because this is only 100 pages long, and because it's a companion to Born, and while, I mean, I suppose you could read this in whatever order you wanted to, like you could read this before Born, but obviously it would behoove you to read it in the publication order. Because of all of these factors, I will not tell you much about this story. However, I will read you a quote. So she only relaxed her camouflage, puffed out her feathers, and turned more iridescent, and allowed color to burn across the feathers like a wildfire. And as far as the old man was concerned, that was her answer, that she was beautiful, and therefore good. So The Strange Bird, again, I'm going to keep very vague because of it being only 100 pages and a companion. Now I'm just repeating I'm going to keep this very vague. So The Strange Bird is a strange bird. It is a creation of the company, and it is so uniquely done. One thing I don't think I mentioned when I was talking about Born, at least I don't think I mentioned it in the second clip. One thing that I love about Vandermeer creating these strange, otherworldly feeling creatures is the way he describes them. There's a scene in Born where Born is injured, and he needs Rachel to inspect him and to help him. He just needs Rachel to inspect him. So she starts feeling around on Born's body, and through that we end up finding out about all these different textures that Born has, how varied he is in different areas, and how many different purposes, how many different functions he can have. And the Strange Bird is described in a very similar way, that just the uniqueness of the Strange Bird, the uniqueness of her makeup, as well as the experience that she's had, what she's gone through to make her this way, the memories that she still holds, and then as she's interacting with the scientist, sorry, the kids are now playing above me, as she's interacting with the scientist, the way he views her as beautiful and therefore good, the sort of volatile reaction he has when she invokes some of her memories and repeats back some things that tie to his own memories. Anyway, she is able to get free, and she's able to explore the world more. So through this, we learn a lot more about this world and about the company. So I would say one thing about Born, and I loved this about Born, is it wasn't heavy on the world building. While it is a post-apocalyptic world, and while there's so much fascinating things happening with the company, with the creations that the company has made, with the world as we see it in Born, we also just don't go that deep with exploring all of it. We really are very intimate with Rachel, Born, and in places with Wick. So this is like, it's like this is gonna sound snobby, it's for like the true fans, like the hyper fans of Born, that it's like, I need to know more. We get to learn more, but not in a way that's sort of like an appendix. Instead, it's in a way that's very intimate with a new creature, with a new human, a bird, but you know, you'll understand that if you've read Born, with a new personhood who is going through this world, and we're exploring the world, and we're learning more about it through the Strange Bird. I loved it so much. So much. I did start Dead Astronauts, but I don't have a lot to say to you about it because I'm very close into it. This is another companion, Vandermeer, once again. But I'm actually going to, probably this is going to be the last book I talk to you about in this vlog because I've decided that this is going to be my beach book. I'm not going to read it when we're all chilling in the house. I'm going to read it when I'm sitting out on the beach because as strange as this sounds, Vandermeer has become a comfort read for me, even though he writes very strange, odd, sometimes dark things, which, by the way, The Strange Bird was an incredibly emotional book, deeply emotional and very sad at times. And Vandermeer doesn't write cozy, but he has become my comfort read because he seems to just write for me. Like, every book he writes seems to be a win. So this is my beach book. In the meantime, I have been giving Roadside Picnic a lot of my focus. So this is which I can read perfectly fine with my prescription sunglasses. Everything's just darker. So Roadside Picnic is a classic sci-fi. This is strange. I've just finished chapter 1. There are 4 chapters in this book. It's very short, but the chapters aren't long. So what can I say about this? Because I don't know. We are following a man who I would call intentionally unlikable. He drinks a lot. He's very snappy. He's very short with people. He's just very gruff. And there's 6 places on Earth called zones. And essentially what's happened is aliens have they haven't made contact. Aliens have come to Earth and they've affected Earth, but they made no attempt to make contact. They don't care about talking to humans. They came, they did what they wanted, they left. And now there are these 6 zones around the world where the aliens landed. And in those zones, it's horrifying. Like there's so many death traps in the zones, be it some like sludge, I think it was, that's like poisonous, be it like these gravity defying things that could crush a person, be it I keep thinking, man, my vision's unclear, I need to push my glasses up, be it the web that who knows what it is, but we should certainly not touch it. Please don't touch the web. So in these zones, aliens have come, they've left artifacts, they've left their presence, and it's deadly. And they've gone. Bye. So I really love sci-fi books that do first contact in a way that's like, the aliens don't care about us. We think they should because we think we're the center of the world, but the aliens are really just not threatened or concerned. And then humans are like, but it's us. We're humanity. How dare you? So that was something that Solaris was also like, don't ignore me. So anyway, we're following this character and his comrades, and they're going into the zone, which is illegal and bad, and you shouldn't do that. But they do. This book is it's interesting in the way that it's written, because I'm reading this with Joanna, and she mentioned that it seemed easy. Like, the zone is clearly deadly, really hard to get into, like it's a thing, and yet they seem to have gone in and gotten out relatively with ease, and it does feel that way. And the thing is, because I don't think it actually was easy, I think it's just the way that it's written, because I personally really love atmospheric books, especially for something like this where we're going into a zone that is like barred off. You shouldn't go, you're gonna get in trouble if you do go and you're found out. It's deadly, there's mysterious, strange, otherworldly things going on there. And I want to know all about it, you know? Like, I want to take a second to describe this room or describe everything. What does it feel like? Is it musky? Is it dark? Does it feel oppressive? Does it feel eerie? Are there noises going on in the distance that you can't identify? Like, I want to know every detail about the zone, but really nothing is described except for what's essential to be described. Like, there's a web, okay? The web is going to be important, so we describe the web. Nothing else is important, so we describe nothing else. We're going to throw some nuts and bolts in front of us to make sure that there's no traps. Okay, cool. Now you know that detail. Moving on. So it seems like we were in and out of the zone so fast, and it's not because it was so fast, because it said that they were there for 4 or 5 hours. But I don't feel like we were there for more than a couple of minutes, and I don't feel like we did much to get in or out. I really, really, really love everything that's happening in concept, but in execution, it doesn't work for my very atmospheric reader. heart where I want the zone. Like, I want to be immersed. I want to be freaked out. I want to go into the zone and I want to feel tension. But instead, I go into the zone and I'm like, okay, make sure you soak up every detail, because all you're getting are the details, not the feeling of being here. Again, I just read the first chapter, which is long. I mean, it's like 50 some pages. 57 pages is when chapter 2 starts. So, you know, it could pick up. But right now, great ideas. But as a story, it's not giving as much as I want it to. There's your check-in, and those were the kids. Bye. I have finished, it's on the ground, hang on, Roadside Picnic. And okay, first of all, actually, first I want to clarify something that I said in the last review that I think wasn't complete. So I mentioned that I really wanted, last clip, I really wanted this book to be more atmospheric. And in saying that and describing all the things I wanted atmospherized, I fear I may have misrepresented the book. So I want to be clear, it's not lacking in atmosphere entirely. There's plenty of atmosphere here. Things are described well. The different sort of, when people go into the zone, the different ways that the zone interacts with people's bodies is described quite well. Not just that there's a web on someone's back and that's something to be noted, but the fact that there are different symptoms that people will come away with, like having their fingernails and toenails peeled off, or having their children be born mutated, or a huge variety of different things that the zone does to people that come out of it, and different parts of the zone that interact with people in different ways. So I just want to be super clear that there's plenty of things described, and there's plenty of mystery, like fear in the unknown that's happening in this book. People who survive the zone only survive because of those that went before them, reporting back the methods that they use to get through it. And because we're following someone who has been in the zone many times, this isn't his first experience. But even with it not being his first experience, even with him having been in there, and maybe he's not in awe of the wonders of it, like, I still feel like, you know, maybe some more description would be cool. Like, it just is very quick. Things just happen very quick in the story, and I would just love to slow down and take it in a little bit more. So I just wanted to clarify all that, because I don't want to make it seem to you like there's no descriptions in this book. I hope it didn't come off like that in the first clip. Anyway, what a book. It continued to be very fast-paced. It continued to be a little bit more distant and a little bit less character-focused than I tend to enjoy in my books. But oh my goodness, what a cool story. Not just in what the zone is, but in the conversations around, like, for instance, Red is not a likable protagonist. He is very disenchanted with the world, with the idea of being just a working man, just an average working man, the monotony of life. He isn't kind to people around him. He is a drunk, and a lot of what motivates him is, oh cool, I could buy more alcohol. I can't talk about the stuff that I really want to talk about as the novel progresses and we get the end goal. Because of situations that are happening with his family, what his end goal is and the decisions that he makes are startling. And the hardened way that he goes about it, the way he kind of refers to the key, which is something that you won't understand unless you've read it, but the way he refers to the key in such a distant and he almost seems like he looks down. And the tie-in to the title, the why this book is called Roadside Picnic, I adored. It's a very interesting, I love this different kind of take. You know, so many movies, so many renditions of First Contact are very focused on the big bad aliens, right? Like they're here to destroy, they're here to take over, they want to take our resources, they want to experiment on us, like they're here to steal what's ours and infiltrate the humans. And I love a good story that's like, nah, they don't care about us. Like, we are so insignificant, and they have other things on their mind, and we're not it. This book is written very classic sci-fi-esque. It is written very much as an ideas book. Those ideas are on the surface, but those ideas are really, really rich and fun to engage with. So go into it knowing that you're not getting what is how stories modern day are oftentimes told. We're not going to get stuff that's super character focused, super focused on the action or the big twists, reveals. It's very classic sci-fi in the way that it's written. So go into it knowing that. There are elements of it that I didn't enjoy entirely, but so much of it that I thought was so cool. I have started Remote Control, which is my final novella. I've read the first chapter and it's a pretty interesting start, but again, it's 150 pages long. So I'm just going to wait till the end to talk to you about it. So enjoy this bird sanctuary, or at least I hope you did, because it's over now. Hello, I have finished reading Remote Control, and I enjoyed this so much. So this follows a young girl who, after a seed falls from the sky, this seed gives her the powers of life and death. She has the ability to take the life through a touch of anyone that she sees. She can take down entire cities if she wants to. It's an incredible power. She develops this nickname, the adopted daughter of the angel of death. Her story begins living in Ghana with her parents and her brother, and this is early on in the little novella, after her entire family is killed, and she is devastated and just sort of sitting with their bodies and reckoning with what's happened. She goes on a journey trying to find the seed again, and it calls to her. She has this intuitive knowing of it pulling at her and knowing in what direction she's meant to go to find it. Her companions are a story of mythology, a bind up, a book of mythology that she just takes out and reads again as she travels, as well as a fox. And she meets many people along the way. Her powers cause her to be extremely recognizable. Upon first look, people generally know exactly who she is, usually. And when they do, they either give her gifts and dote on her, or they fear her and try to get away, because also this is set in a futuristic sci-fi world where there's robo cities and robo cops and a ton of technology and trade in technology, but she, by nature of her powers, disables all technology, ruins every technological thing that she comes too close to. So there's that fun side of it as well. It's so interesting the way that it's written, because it's written in this sort of terse, clipped way, yet it's also very intimate, very close, very personal, and it's told. There's an interesting focus on the stories that are passed down and that are told, and the weight that they hold in our lives. But at the same time, the way that this particular story is told, it's told like a story. So it almost feels like we're reading a myth as it's being written, as it's being told. We're witnessing it unfold, and the prose sort of reflects that wondrous sort of vibe that her story carries. Anyway, her name at the beginning of the novel is Fatima, but after her family dies, she's given a new name, Sankofa. And as she travels, Sankofa's original goal, the way she chooses to use her powers, her abilities, is to either assist those that are ready for death and need help getting there, or in self-defense. You know, if someone meets her on the road and tries to attack her, then she will kill them in self-defense. However, even that evolves and changes, and she finds herself changing a lot over this novella. And I won't say any more than that, because I do think that with it only being 150 pages, there's a lot to discover, and I don't want to take that from you if you do choose to read it. But I enjoyed this so much. It is written in a way that is both intriguing, sometimes vague, sometimes you're left wondering tell me more about this power, tell me more about, something will be mentioned, some world building aspect will be mentioned, and you want to dig in deeper. But because it's a novella, you get what you get, and it's told in this way that draws you in but still leaves you wondering. It feels like a fairy tale. It feels like a tale being told as we walk with her on her journey. I enjoyed it so much. I am a little bit mixed, unsure how I feel about the ending. I kind of have to sit with that to figure out where I stand there, but I enjoyed reading this, and I'm gonna pick up more from this author. I have started and gotten not very far into Dead Astronauts. I'm still only 87 pages. This was supposed to be my beach book. This was supposed to be the one that I read while I'm sitting in the sand, which, I mean, like, I'm here with kids. Yeah, obviously I'm not reading on the beach. I'm staring at the waves, making sure they don't carry my children away. Or like playing in the waves with them. It's been really peaceful. It's been a wonderful time. But I'm not reading on the beach. And honestly, I don't really like this book. And that sucks for me, because Vandermeer has become one of my all-time favorite authors. This is my 6th Vandermeer book. I've read them all very close together, and I plan on continuing to binge his works after this. This might be my one dud. It's just too abstract. Vandermeer always writes his books very abstract. He always is doing something strange with the way he tells his stories. It's always, what do you mean? Tell me more. Kind of like Remote Control but in a very different way. He writes in a way that makes me want to think a little bit more on everything that he says. And this one, I'm like struggling to just follow what he's saying. There's so much oddities happening around every corner, and sometimes he'll say something that just like hits, and I'm like, oh, I love this book. Yes, I'm in it now. And then he'll continue on, and then I'm like, no, I'm lost. Can't tell what's happening. Like, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. I'm gonna go read it because it's the last book I have. So I got nothing else to read. I would DNF it if it weren't Vandermeer. I would already be done. I would say, you know what? I'm gonna get something from the library on my phone, and I'm not gonna read this. I would quit. I would quit it if it weren't Vandermeer. But because it's Vandermeer, I will continue reading, and I just really hope it's more than a 2-star. We're leaving tomorrow, so I'll have plenty of time to read it in the car ride home. Are you ready to end this vlog on a dud? I DNF'd Dead Astronauts. I'm not even gonna give you a rant for it because it's just, I couldn't do it. I can't express to you how sad this makes me. I did flip ahead, and some of the later chapters are formatted in a really interesting way, which I read House of Leaves, and the formatting of House of Leaves is like half of the appeal of that book. So I want to give this book another try to figure out what's going on here. So my goal right now, this is very much a temporary DNF because it's Vandermeer, and I'm not going to actually quit on one of his books. I won't do it, but this is absolutely the wrong time for me. I need to start this book over. This book is written, there's definitely some time stuff going on, possibly alternate dimensions. There's definitely a murder duck happening in this story, and I need to go back, start it over with the correct expectations, and I don't know, take notes or something. So this is a temporary DNF. We need some space. We're on a break. And I'm gonna go, next month I'm gonna be reading his entire Mushroom trilogy. I don't remember what it's called. And then I still have at least one standalone, if not two, to read by him. And we're getting the 4th book in Area X in October. So I have plenty of content still to burn through and love. And I'm going to enjoy more Vandermeer books and then come back to the one that has presented itself as a challenge for me, reread the beginning, and hopefully love it. And if not, then fine. He can have one done. He can have one. So in this vlog, I read Born, which was extraordinary, amazing. Oh my goodness, love. The Strange Bird, also incredible. Love this little novella. Roadside Picnic, which I love the ideas of, some of the execution. I would say that this is definitely more of an ideas book. I love discussing this and trying to figure out, okay, what do you think the ending was? How do you think this if there was a chapter 5? What do you think happened? I loved doing that with people on my Discord and with Joanna, who I was reading it with. That was so much fun. But as a narrative, it's not like the most interesting story ever, but I still really enjoyed it. Remote Control, which is another little novella. I really enjoyed this, and I'm very intrigued to get more of this world, so I'm going to continue on with this. And Dead Astronauts, which I don't want to talk about anymore. I'm not entirely sure how much footage I actually got while I was at the beach. I was chilling. I don't know how much I actually pulled out my phone to record things, but I know I got at least one sunset. So hopefully it's enough to make this vlog interesting to you. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to chat with you more about any of these books if you read them or if you plan on reading them. I'll see you again soon. Bye.